Hear me clearly. The story is not over. There are chapters you haven't lived yet. A message for anyone who feels like giving up. If you've been carrying a weight nobody seems to understand, if you've been trying your best and still feel exhausted, or if you've been doing all the right things and wondering why it still feels so hard, this message is for you. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now in your life. Because there are people listening to this today who are hanging on by a thread. And the crazy thing is, nobody around them even knows the struggles and the troubles they're having. See, they're still showing up, still going to work, still praying, still paying the bills, still taking care of everybody else. They're still smiling when someone asks, "How you doing?" But on the inside, they're tired. Not physically tired, soul tired. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. The kind of tired that comes from carrying too much for too long. Maybe that's where you are right now. And if it is, I want to share something I've learned. Not from a book I read, not from a seminar I attended. It's from life itself, living life. I've lived it. See, years ago, I used to believe that strong people never thought about quitting. I thought strength meant confidence. I thought strength meant certainty. I thought strength meant having all the right answers, or all the answers for that matter. But after 60 years on this planet and 20 years sober, a dedicated business, raising a family, 30 years marriage, building a life, I've learned something different. The strongest people I know have all wanted to quit, every single one of them. The difference wasn't that they never felt defeated. The difference was that they kept going anyway. And that's important, because when we struggle, our mind starts lying to us. It tells us that this feeling will last forever. It tells us nothing will change. It tells us we're stuck. But feelings, they're like the weather. They pass. Even the darkest storms eventually move on. And I learned that lesson in construction. For 45 years, I've worked under homes. And if you've ever worked under a home in a dirt crawl space, you'll understand this. Sometimes you shine your flashlight ahead and all you see is darkness. See, the beam only reaches a few feet. You can't see the whole space. You can't see the entire path. You can't see the exit. You can only see the next few feet right in front of you. But that's enough, because you don't need to see the whole thing. You don't need to see the full picture. You only need enough light for the next step. Life works the same way. People get overwhelmed because they're trying to solve the next 10 years in one night, in one day, or even better, they're doing it in 1 week. That's not how this works. They're trying to figure out their entire future while they're sitting in today's pain. But life really never works out that way. It rarely does. The next step reveals the next step. The next conversation reveals the next conversation. The next act of courage reveals the next opportunity. You don't need clarity about everything all at once. You just need enough courage for today. And I know that sounds so simple, but simple doesn't mean easy, because you're hurting. Your mind wants certainty. It wants guarantees. It wants proof. It even says, what if this never gets any better? What if I fail? What if I try holding changes and nothing changes? And here's the truth. Nobody knows this, but we do know this. Nothing changes if you stop. I've never met a person who improved their life by quitting on themselves. Not one. I've met people who took a break. I've met people who rested. I've met people who slowed down. I've met people who asked for help. But quitting on themselves, that never produced the life they wanted. You know what I did? I took one more step, one more conversation, one more day. And so did they. And that's how this works. One more attempt, one more prayer, one more chance, one more try. The breakthroughs people talk about usually aren't dramatic. We imagine lightning bolts. We imagine instant transformation, but most breakthroughs happen quietly. When a person finally tells the truth, when a person finally asks for help, or a person finally sets boundaries, even that person can finally decide they're worth fighting for. And everything starts to change from there. Not overnight, but over time. I think that's what people miss. We're all looking for giant changes, but life is built through small decisions repeated over and over and over again. Consistency. See, a garden doesn't grow because you stare at it. It grows because you keep showing up. You water it, you pull the weeds, you protect it, you trust the process. Then one day, something beautiful appears where nothing seemed to be happening for a long time. Human beings aren't much different. Growth is happening even when you can't see it. Healing is happening even when you can't measure it. Change is happening even when it feels slow. And if you're in a season where you're struggling, if you're questioning yourself, or if you're wondering, is this worth it? Hear me clearly. The story is not over. There are chapters you haven't lived yet. People haven't met yet. There's friendships you haven't formed yet. Lessons you haven't learned yet. Adventures you haven't experienced yet. Memories waiting to be made. Prayers waiting to be answered. Versions of yourself waiting to emerge. You don't know what tomorrow holds. Neither do I. But I've lived long enough to know that the greatest blessings in my life arrived after the hardest seasons, where I thought nothing good was ever gonna come of it, where I thought it was hopeless. And that's why I don't want you to quit today. Not because I know exactly how things are gonna work out, but because I know what becomes possible when you stay in the game. So if today is hard, don't focus on next year. Don't focus on the next 5 years, and don't focus on forever. Focus on now, right where your feet are. Focus on the next step, the new now, the now. And one day you'll look back and realize something incredible happened. That the moment you wanted to quit was the moment your comeback began. The moment you started the new journey, the new life. Keep going, you're worth it. Check out the link if you want to talk. I'm doing these videos all the time. I'm sharing from my honest truth.